and how entrepreneurship is at the heart of nation building. Now I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Kumar Singh. Sir is currently designated as Professor and Head of Department of Entrepreneurship at Amity Business School, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. With over 20 years of experience in teaching and research, Dr. Singh has organized number of business plans competition at Amity Business School. Now I request Sir to share his experience with us on the topic.
Very good afternoon, students. Guest of the day. Arun sir. Okay, guest of the day, Arun sir. Today we have a discussion on Atmanirbhar Bharat. When we talk about the point Atmanirbhar Bharat, the word itself is talking about use the self-reliant. How you are Atmanirbhar by own. So when we talk about this concept, how it is connecting to with the entrepreneurship, the government of India, Prime Minister Modi, they brought this concept in this perspective of how we look about a country like India to become Atmanirbhar. So whatever we are using, whatever the sources, services, the product, how we think about to become your own. So in this concept, the Atmanirbhar concept came, and I think in this perspective, if you look about in the broader sense, even the multinationals, those who have headquarters in other part of the globe, government put this mandate: you have to become in India, you have to be manufactured in India. So whenever it go back again in other part of the globe, it's showing that it is manufactured in India. So what it means, Atmanirbhar, that means we are the self-dependent, we are the self-reliant. Whatever the product, service, concept, innovation we have, we are talking about by own. So when we have this concept, I think being as a young management students, budding entrepreneur, if you realize this word Atmanirbhar, that means whatever things you need to be in the future, if you think about how you can bring the innovation in that, might be you're looking all that you have to be write on any book, notebook, you require the pen. So why you should not think about to develop a concept which would be more innovative, maybe for the next generation of the students. And this innovation is again talking about the Atmanirbhar. So in this today discussion, I think the speaker like Arun sir, we personally know Arun sir is a very good speaker. So I would like to thank Arun sir on this Amity portal, and of course the coordinator of this whole event, entrepreneurship club, coordinated this event and asked all students to be think about the Atmanirbhar. As I said, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and think about Atmanirbhar by own also, right? How you can earn, how you can learn, how you can really learn. So you have no required to be for others. I think that every youth is looking in future. I think you are talking about the placement, you are talking about the startup, you are talking about many things. What is the conclusion of these things? I think one thing is very clear: you want to be Atmanirbhar. Right now, as a student, when you have to be buy anything, you are looking the face of your parents, right? Some you have a dependency, you can say, to be others, right? But when you are own way, like you have your own startup, you have your own business, you have your own job, right? So it talk about your self-reliant. You can do whatever you want to be own. So in this contest, I can say only yes, we need to be looking about how we can become Atmanirbhar Bharat. From pen to the aeroplane, everything should be in India, every should be manufactured in India, every should be innovated in India. From social side, we don't have to be depend with others. So I think in this remarks, I'm going to be stop here. Thank you, Professor Garima. Again, I'm thanking Arun sir. I want to be here you again in the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And in the last, I can say the student coordinator, those who have this coordinated this hybrid mode of the event, the way they have organized this event. I think they have done a number of work for this region. So thank you all students doing such wonderful event under the Entrepreneurship Club, team of Entrepreneurship Club. Thank you very much giving me this opportunity to speaking on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring and motivational words with us. Before we move forward to this event, we want to take a moment to thank our generous sponsor for their contribution, Sachindra Negi Fitness. Sachindra Negi Fitness is helping people overcome their body insecurities by bringing them in shape, building strength, and by maintaining good health. With years of success and experience, they are capable of analyzing the body and creating a nutritional plan that will help the customers to reach their goals. Their most plans includes healthy eating and exercise to ensure the best results for their clients. Their personal trainers are using the scientific knowledge to help the clients achieve their fitness goals without getting injured. They are catering to people of all age groups and body sizes. Their services includes personal training and nutritional consultation. They don't just make their body fit, but they are trying to teach them how to maintain that fitness for a lifetime.
Now, I would like to start this event by inviting our guest of honor, Mr. Arun Subramanya, Chief Mentor of ACT Solutions. He is a cognitive science and implicit teaching specialist, helping trainers, coaches, and mentors enhance their capability to engage, influence, and transform their participants, coach, and mentee. He is also helping professionals and business leaders with their presentation techniques on the online platform and gearing up them for accelerated growth in the digitalized world. He is a success coach, mentoring professionals to increase their performance, create an identity for themselves, and transform into influential leaders. He has over 4 decades in corporates with over 2 decades as CEO. As a senior management team member at several leading companies, he has built and managed organizations in the face of significant regulatory, technological, and industrial change. He has also conducted over 500 management development workshops featuring professionals from varied industries in design thinking, branding, team management, performance enhancement, change management, leadership, strategic decision making, and value proposition. We welcome you, sir. I would like to request sir to share his pearls of wisdom with us.
Thank you, young friends. Your words are indeed very encouraging. Can I share the screen, please?
Yes, sir, just a second.
Yes, sir, you may.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. To hear such glowing words from young people is indeed extremely encouraging for people like us. After all, you're the future of India, and when I feel that the future is recognizing our present, it's so nice. Let me start by thanking Dr. Garima Agarwal and her team and Amity University and Dr. Anjani Kumar for his glowing words and an opportunity to share my ideas with you. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Okay. I would be right if I were to observe that the world and not just India is passing through very difficult times. It's more akin to climbing a hill with a huge rock tied to you. But as the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Is my screen visible? My dear friends, can you see a lady pull a stone uphill?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir.
Atmanirbhar Abhiyan is one such expression of the tough getting into action. To understand Atmanirbhar Abhiyan, we need to realize that historically, tectonic events have always led to great positive changes in how business and society has changed in the aftermath of the event. Let's see one such event. I'm sure you must have recognized that this is a picture from World War II. In World War II, for instance, when men went off to war, women had to fill up the gaps, and they proved that they could do the men's work and do it well. In fact, women never looked back after that. That is the watershed moment when they stormed the bastion. Till then was reserved only for men, and the only men world became for both men and women. Today, the workspace is equally shared between men and women, and in many, many, many instances, women have proved themselves to be much, much better than men in doing the job. Another such incident was faced during the Y2K. The Y2K problem demanded extensive use of software engineers. I'm sure you know that fixing the bug, which the Indians could do very well, ensured that there was a tripling of employment-based visas granted by the US. And the Indian engineers could establish their credentials and so well that they got catapulted as world leaders in addressing technology problems. Today, Google, Microsoft, IBM, Adobe are all headed by Indian-born engineers. And now, my dear friends, the third tectonic movement has come and is in the facing out stage, the pandemic. The coronavirus is forcing global experimentation with remote working, remote teaching, gig economy, digital commerce. You see here an article published in December 21, where PricewaterhouseCoopers has said that the challenges of tomorrow need a fresh perspective today. A fresh perspective. But even as they were writing, PM Modi had already unfolded the map of that fresh perspective. PM Modi, in his plan unfolding statement, said Made in India vaccines are a symbol of Atmanirbhar Bharat. A total of 3 packages were introduced in 3 phases, starting on this eventful day 2 years back on 12th May 2020. Friends, the world was going downhill at a breakneck speed. Ever since the pandemic struck in December 19, January 20, it has been a downhill ride. Economies have been going south at a breakneck speed. Majority of the countries have been plunged into severe recession. You can see from this map that India, along with USA, has been among the worst hit economies of the world. But in the war against evil, good has always won. India has been the harbinger of this message to the world. The war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas in the Mahabharata gave rise to the context of Gitopadesh is that the entire world can see. Atmanirbhar could well be the Pandavas winning the victory. Pandavas were 5 and Atmanirbhar Bharat has got 5 pillars, beginning with economy. Atmanirbhar Bharat aims to kickstart the economy not just through incremental changes, but through a quantum jump. In management, we are always taught to go step by step and increase ourselves. That is what is incremental change. But Atmanirbhar Bharat is talking about a quantum jump. Atmanirbhar Bharat is talking about an infrastructure supportive of an ambitious visionary India, which the quantum jump is going to provide. Atmanirbhar Bharat is talking about a system divorced of past red tapeism. India and government of India was always known for its red tapeism. But this system which Atmanirbhar Bharat is envisaging is a system divorced of red tapeism, embracing technology-driven, outcome-based process mechanism. The 4th pillar is the demography. Leveraging our being the world's largest democracy with a vibrant diversity, which is our main energy vortex, driving our deep desire for self-reliance. And the 5th is a demand. Creating a self-sufficient supply and demand chain, which can help the world and not depend on anyone. The government envisages through Atmanirbhar Bharat to be a self-sufficient country which will also support the world. And we have already shown our intention by helping other underprivileged countries with the vaccine, and recently by helping Sri Lanka in its time of crisis. Onions have always played an important role in Indian economy. You must be wondering, what has onion got to do with Atmanirbhar Bharat? Many a government has faced an existential crisis because of it. Government have gone overboard with the finance minister even having to make a detailed statement in the floor of the house on the steps taken to control spiraling onion prices. Who does not remember Nirmala Sitaraman coming on the floor of the house and talking about the steps which are enumerated here of how to control onion price? We are going to use the same onion to understand how the policy makers have strategized their recovery plan with Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yes, my dear friends, our policy makers have taken a leaf or two out of the onion story to understand it. In fact, as future events have shown, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has become a success because it is based on very sound business strategy, very sound graded phased business strategy. In the same way as onion has several layers, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has several perspectives, and it is necessary to understand these perspectives to be able to fully appreciate, execute, and take full benefit of it. As students of management, you well know that knowledge is power. The more you understand something clearly, the more you can innovate, iterate, and ensure that you implement it successfully. So we are going to see the various layers of Atmanirbhar Bharat and how they come together to create an environment where India can really take up the position of world leadership. It was after the Second World War, before which Europe was the leading power, that the geographical contours of power were redrawn and America emerged as the power center. The COVID pandemic could well be the moment for India to emerge. And Atmanirbhar Bharat could well be the vehicle which is going to take us there. Let's see how. The first and foremost thing is Atmanirbhar Bharat was a pandemic imperative. It was because of the pandemic that the government had to sit down and think of what can be done. Let us not forget that pandemic has been responsible for many economies collapsing. But in India and around the world, India is looked at very favorably as possibly the present and the future investment center, because we are the one who have been able to weather the storm very effectively, and we are looking at the future with a very, very encouraging and positive note. So how is this pandemic imperative? How is this a pandemic imperative? Atmanirbhar Bharat has assigned 3 lakh crores collateral-free automatic loans for businesses, including SMEs. That means here is an opportunity for small-scale enterprises to bounce back from 2 years of being ravaged. 20,000 crores of subordinate debt for stressed MSMEs have been provided. 50,000 crore equity infusion for MSMEs through fund of funds. There's a lot of money which is being assigned to medium and small scale industries to come out of it. New definition of MSMEs. The definition of MSMEs, the micro, small and medium scale industries, has been raised so that they can take benefit of a higher ceiling. Global tenders to the tune of 200 crores have been disallowed so that Indian industry will get the opportunity to bid for it, and the Made in India can help Indians very well. And finally, other interventions like transaction-based lending. The government receivables be released in 45 days. Government has been told to release the receivables to industry in 45 days. All these and many such smaller things, many more smaller things have gone to create Atmanirbhar Bharat as a very favorable development of the pandemic. Now we come to the global small businesses. The world over, there is a trend. The second perspective is the explosion of global small businesses, or GSB, as it is known in management circles. The trend of GSB, where a handful of people come together to start a company and provide goods and services transcending borders and geographical boundaries, is here to stay and is likely to change the contours of the world of commerce as nothing has done in a long time. This is also giving rise to the great attrition, as it is called. What does it mean? It means people are leaving their job, joining together to start small businesses. There is this statement from the World Economic Forum, which says that the top 10 nations enjoying the fastest growth in small businesses. And why it matters for us is that India does not feature in the list of the 10 top countries. The top 10 countries with the largest new business formation growth year after year in 2020 comprise United Kingdom, United States, Australia, Germany, Canada, Italy, France, Japan, Brazil, Thailand. That does not speak well of us. For a country with such a huge human capital, such a capable human capital, to not feature in the top 10 countries where small businesses are flourishing is not good. And what is more, Atmanirbhar Bharat can change all that. The promise of job for all and wiping out employment can be realized only if we move in a very determined manner towards self-employment, or in other words, global small businesses. For that, we require technological upgradation, good infrastructure, financial support from financial institutions, protection from government, through a liberal forward-thinking policy, and above all, elbow space to try, fail, try, fail, try again and succeed. Atmanirbhar Bharat gives us that opportunity and more. Global small businesses is another area which can be supported, which can be the backbone of Atmanirbhar Bharat. I'm happy that I am addressing a group of young to become entrepreneurs. Friends, step out into the world, take the opportunity with the scruff of his neck. The third is the Russia-Ukraine war. You must be wondering why Zelensky is not there and Biden is there. The Russia-Ukraine war has brought the dangers of being dependent on any other country, has driven home the need to be self-reliant. The posturing by NATO and the USA, that double speak on one hand, and our dependence on Russia for our continued defense capability, and the threat of expansion is China, are all great motivators for a country to become self-reliant. If you're not strong and self-reliant, you will become a pawn in the hands of the superpower who don't really care a fig for you. They care only about themselves. The war is really being fought by USA and NATO on one side and Russia on the other. Ukraine is just an excuse, an unholy excuse that has led to the life of millions of Ukrainians being uprooted and crushed. Do we want to be like Ukraine? Do we want to be in that position? In Bengali, there is a saying, Raja Raja Juddho kore, ulu khode prancha. That means when kings fight, it is the soldiers who die. Here you see Russia and US fighting. Ukrainians are dying. Atmanirbhar is all about harnessing our mineral, intellectual, technological, and human resource and creating a self-sufficient demand-supply chain. I am reminded of what we read as a doha from Kabir Das ji in school. He said, Sai itna dijiye jame kutuma samaye, main bhi bhuka na rahu, sadhu na bhuka jaye. This could very well apply for this situation where we should also be self-sufficient, and at the same time, we should be in a position to help others. That is when we will be safe. Atmanirbhar Bharat could well take us on that way. We are a country of immeasurable resources, be it human, be it intellectual, be it mineral resources, be it capabilities, competencies. We have got everything. All that we required was fire inside us, not behind us, fire inside us to bring it all together. And Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan could well be that. And that brings us to Swadesh. Through Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are optimizing the utilization of human capital. As economies shrink, governments worldwide will face the challenges of catering to their constituencies by playing favorites. It could well prove very detrimental for foreign immigrants on a work visa. We are already seeing a significant influx of workers from the Middle East. The country needs to be ready for such a homecoming. Swadesh was the answer, where they started mapping the skills of the people and providing jobs for those who come. Brain drain, my dear friends, was the biggest curse for our country. That saw the best brains going abroad to mortgage their capabilities to foreign powers and make a living. In fact, in many countries, the top positions are held by Indians. Now they are coming back into the warm arms of their motherland. Welcome them with Swadesh Abhiyan under the Atmanirbhar Bharat and put them to good use. Help them develop a good work life for themselves and a good nation. The real leaders, that there used to be a saying that Bharat was a सोने की चिड़िया. वक्त आ गया है कि फिर से वो चिड़िया चहकेगी. Now let me show you something, friends. This report came in the Economic Times on February 7th. How coronavirus may undo Tirupur garment industry. This was followed by another report on 17th of February, which said Tirupur textile industry stares at 15,000 crore loss due to COVID-19. First, they said that the Tirupur garment industry is going to be undone during the pandemic because China was the main supplier of the raw material and no raw material was coming. In 10 days, the leaders realized. Will you all mute, please? The leaders realized that the textile industry was staring at a 15 crore loss. Just 1 month later. On 21st of April, the news came on Economic Times again. Tirupur units eye 2 billion opportunity for PPE business. One entrepreneur from among them read about personal protection equipment. He was a textile unit owner, an entrepreneur. He read about the need for personal protection equipment. He called his people. In 1 month, Tirupur was eyeing a 2 billion opportunity from PPE. 90 days down the line, in 3 months, they had already manufactured and supplied 10,000 crore worth of personal protection equipment. And it was calculated that by 2025, the government of India calculated that the personal protection equipment industry in India would be a $60 billion industry. Yes, my dear friends, $60 billion industry. We are one of the highest exporters of personal protection equipment today to the world. Where? From nowhere. We were nowhere near it. In February 2020, there were very few people in this country who had ever heard about personal protection equipment. Let's see another angle to it. This is the picture again from Economic Times. This is the picture of a mahua tree. The flowers of the mahua tree, the tribals of Chhattisgarh, Adivasis of Chhattisgarh, used to extract alcohol for a local brew. One entrepreneur. At that time, there was a severe crisis in Chhattisgarh for hand sanitizers. He thought, why not make hand sanitizer with it? He tried, he made a hand sanitizer. Outcome? Village after village of tribals, they started collecting the flowers of mahua tree, drying it, and overnight, a new small cottage industry had sprung, the cottage industry of Mahua flowers, and we were well on the way to becoming leaders in manufacturing hand sanitizers. In short, this was an expression of Jugaad innovation. The fifth perspective is the Jugaad mentality of Indians, which shines through in interesting times. When push comes to shove, there is no one like an Indian to rise to the occasion. We became a significant exporter of PPE and hand sanitizers during the pandemic. We were importers of paracetamol, but suddenly we started exporting paracetamol and hydroxychloroquine to over 120 countries. This could not have been possible if not for the entire country turning itself into a manufacturing hub for these products. How did the country convert its facility to manufacture these products at the drop of a hat? Isn't that a question that we should be asking? Today, through Atmanirbhar Bharat, the money and government support and the ease of doing business policy is all supported. Go ahead, tickle your brains and start building your nation. We are the founders and givers of Jugaad to the world, a word which has been introduced into the world of innovation, a word which has been introduced into the English language to mean the capability to do anything with whatever you have got. Today, we have a lot. In addition to that, we have Atmanirbhar Bharat. Let us go ahead, friends, and create a leadership world for ourselves. Finally, we come to a fascinating perspective, a very, very fascinating perspective. This sixth perspective talks about how the GDP can grow only if the purchasing capacity of the commoner can be increased. Atmanirbhar Bharat uniquely addresses this. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, small-scale business holders such as barbers, cobblers, pawn shops, laundry shops will all be provided with a loan of 10,000 rupees. Additionally, the government has also announced under the Swanidhi plan that all the street vendors will get a short-term loan of up to 10,000 to resume their work again. This will ensure an increased rotation of capital, leading to higher demand and higher production. When there is money in the hands of the poor, industry flourishes. Because as much as you and I have dreams and aspirations, the poor also have. And they use that money to build a nation. My dear friends, in 1980, Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms were the trigger for China's emergence as a global powerhouse today. While there are many important learnings from China and its rise as a global superpower, India must now chart its own course to growth as a market democracy. In China, the government could force things down the people's throat. In India, we don't believe in doing that. We will go back to the analogy of the Pancha Pandavas to see what we need to do to become a superpower through the opportunity that has come our way in the form of a crisis. Alone, none of the Pancha Pandavas could have achieved anything. Be it Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthira, Nakul or Sahadev, alone they could have done nothing. But when they came together, they formed a fist. And that fist gave the death blow to the Kauravas. They formed a fist that gave a knockout blow to the greed and injustice of the Kauravas. We too can give a knockout blow to the greed, injustice, and the failings of the time and come up as the leaders. The 5 things that we need to do to build a strong Bharat through Atmanirbhar Bharat is number 1, trust. Trust our government and its intention to make India a world power. Trust our capability to excel. Trust our ability to garner the competencies to become a leader in the world. Trust. Put your trust in yourself. Don't get swayed by the naysayers. Number 2, support. Support the government and follow its leadership unquestioningly. support each other through a spirit of cooperation, give up the crab mentality, where we keep pulling down our own colleagues, thinking we can get ahead. We need to realize that the cake is very big and any slice will be big enough for us. We need to realize that together we can excel. We don't need to compete with each other. We can work together and compete with the world. We can become world leaders if we were to support each other. Together we can excel. The third is buy local, go global. Buy local means never buy a product manufactured abroad if that is available in India. Two things will happen because of that. Since you want quality products, you will force the manufacturer to, manufacture quality products. The quality of our products will go up. And when our money stays within our country, we export, we ensure that we create a better export-import balance. Our foreign, reserves will improve. That brings us to the fourth very important point. Get out of your comfort zone. Remember, nothing attempted, nothing done. Someone has rightly said, if we recruit men who are smaller than us, less capable than us, then we will build a company or a country of pygmies. But if we were to recruit people who are better than us, more capable than us, more competent than us, then we will build a country of giants. You need to leave your comfort zone to achieve your highest potential. And finally, have lofty ideals. I always tell my people, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that man is unable to achieve his highest potential, not because of hurdles and obstacles. It is not hurdles and obstacles which keeps a man away from achieving his highest potential. What keeps him away from achieving his highest potential is a clear vision of a much lower potential. When you have a clear vision of a below average objective and you start pursuing it, you think you are doing something great. No, my dear friends, that's not so. Don't get sidetracked by lesser objectives. Atmanirbhar Bharat can, should, and will take us to world leadership. And you are going to drive that. You, my young, budding, upcoming entrepreneurs of the future. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your captivating journey with us. Now the stage is open for the questions from our respected speaker. Please raise your hand to ask questions or type your question in the chat box.
I'll request the coordinators to read out the question as it is typed out in the chat box because I am unable to see them. Is there any questions?
He is to unmute, no? He is speaking and muted. He is muted.
Who is muted?
Coordinator.
Yeah, please.
He is to unmute.
Mr. You are muted.
Mr. Goswami, it's a humble request. Please open your camera and ask a question to sir.
Can you unshare the screen so that everybody can come on gallery view? Then maybe they will feel comfortable asking the questions.
Dr. Arun Subramaniam has given us really a very nice, insightful session to all of us. I humbly request anybody who want to give some suggestions, some ideas they carry in the mind, and some questions if they like to ask to Arun sir, it will be most welcome.
There are over 100 people on the platform. I am sure a lot of you have got a lot of valuable things that you can add to what I have said. Why don't you come out and tell? It will benefit the students so much. Anyone from the audience, any student, any question or any viewpoint that you would like to share, adding value to it would be most welcome. It's a great opportunity for me also to learn from the management graduates of Amity University Business School. Please, let's hear some words from you.
Sir, I would like to ask you one question.
Please do, ma'am.
So, according to you, the Make in India process which was started, so is it beneficial for India or there are some disadvantages also in this for India?
See, there's a huge amount of benefit for India. And I would say there are no disadvantages, but there are some challenges. The challenges in the form of how do we strike a balance in our relationship with foreign countries with whom we were doing business all along and we were importing from them. When suddenly your export-import balance is going down, your importing is going to reduce as you increase your dependence on your own product, they are going to be, raising eyebrows. That is where, we are very fortunate to be having a very, very powerful, well spread out and well articulated, foreign ministry, which has got an external affairs minister and his team who are conveying to the world how we have to look after our own requirement first. See, one very glaring example of this is when the entire NATO and the US were threatening the world all over not to buy Russian oil, our government went and purchased oil from Russia. And we showed them that, my dear friend, keep your double speak to yourself. You are talking about embargo and you are talking about sanctions on Russia. Why don't you go and sanction the oil purchased by NATO? They could not, because every European country will freeze to death if they did not buy the gas and oil from Russia. This tells you what, my dear young friend, that people talk one thing and then they do another. And we are fortunate to have a government, an external affairs minister backed by a prime minister and an entire team which has the guts and gumption to call a spade a spade. I'm sure we are going to face challenges. It's not as if we are not going to face challenges. We are not a country alone in this world. We do depend on others. While we are 85% dependent for our defense capability on Russia, still we decided not to support Russia in the Security Council. What does that say? It says that we have a mind of our own and we have got the diplomatic muscle power to tell them that, look, I know what is good for my country. I will take that decision. You like it or not, I don't mind. I am not your enemy. I am your friend. We can be friends with both the US, and then you see recently we have signed multi-billion-dollar deals with Australia, with UK. Why is it that they are all coming to India now? On one side, they condemn Indian policy of not condemning Russia, and the other side, they catch the first flight to India. Why? What is making them spend sleepless nights after making those statements? I think it's a question our young entrepreneurs, would-be entrepreneurs need to ask. There is a message in that for them. The message is, don't bow down to bullying. Do what is correct for you and your country. You know, as the Iqbal शेर goes, खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. We are for India. We will stand for India. Challenges, let they come. We will face it. There are no dangers. Atmanirbhar Bharat will take us to the pinnacle of the world order. I hope that answers your question, Soni ji.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Yes, Gaurav.
Sir, generally what happens, what we have observed that Indians prefer foreign, even when the local is better than the foreign. And why is this cycle and how can we overcome the psychological impact?
We need to understand, Gaurav, that we have been under imperialistic forces for centuries. For centuries, hundreds and thousands of years, we have been under imperialistic forces. You know, there was a time when everything about India was great. Then slowly, over a period of time, after the Mughal imperialism came, the British imperialism, and all along, you know, we were kept on being suppressed. And we have somewhere lost our identity. And we have started thinking that the white man, the white skin is better. Not only we, all across the globe, even in the African subcontinent, you will find that white skin has always got preference. As an international trainer, I have found that in the Middle East, whenever a white man comes as a trainer, he gets precedent over a brown skin. Even if the white man is much, much inferior to the quality of the brown skin. Unfortunately, we have started believing that. That is why I said, can you please mute all of you? Please. So you see, that is why I said, in the 5 things that we need to do first, the first one was trust. Trust your ability, trust your country, trust your countryman, trust your product. You rightly observed, Gaurav. If there is a perfume made by a local company, Indian company, and there is one made by a French company, and the French company is selling it to you for 100 times a higher price than this, you would go and prefer to buy that. What you don't realize is that the world around you doesn't know that you are using a French perfume. All that it knows is you are smelling nice. If the Indian perfume can also make you smell nice, why do you need a foreign perfume? If an HMT watch can tell you the price, if a Titan watch can tell you the time, why do you need a Rolex? After all, what is the purpose of a watch? To see the time, isn't it? Just imagine. Tirpur makes the shirt. It is sent to London. And it comes back from there at 20 times the price, and we buy it. Because it is a foreign shirt. What would you call that person? Intelligent? Whereas if we were to trust the ability of our own craftsmen more, then definitely things will change overnight. You know, the Japanese, they don't buy anything other than what is made in Japan. The world buys Japanese product. Japan buys Japanese product. A time should come when the world will buy made in India, and India will also buy made in India.
Yes.
I am reminded here of one particular incident. The missionaries of charity in Calcutta is in a place which is very dirty. The missionaries of charity of Mother Teresa is in a place which is very dirty in Calcutta. So she was asked by one of the interviewers, Madam, what is your message to the world? How can we keep the world clean? She smiled at him. She knew that he was taking a dig at her for having a, establishment in such a dirty place. She said, my son, if everyone cleans their doorstep, the world will automatically become a clean place. Gaurav, my request to you, you make a beginning. Don't buy anything foreign. If each one of you were to take an oath not to buy anything foreign and to buy only goods which are made in India, believe me, we will be the suppliers to the world very soon. Does that reply you, Gaurav?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Explains in very extensive manner.
Amazing, sir.
Any other questions? I will request all to keep their audios muted, excepting the person who's going to ask the question. There's background noise. Yes.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, as we are young generation, how do we associate with it?
I'm unable to hear you clearly. Yes.
As younger generation, how do we associate to it?
Can you please, I'll ask the coordinators to kindly, put it in the chat. The coordinators can read it out to me. There's an echo coming from your audio.
So she's trying to ask that as
Yeah.
a young generation, how can we contribute to this thing, the Make in India thing?
My goodness, you are the future. We are the past. Please understand that. See, we are a country of youth. I am sure you all know that you are the future. The more you believe in your country, the more we will be a country which will believe in itself. And you have to start by being Indian, not being anything else. Now, I'll ask you a simple question. It is an imperative of the time that we become Indian. Do you know why? Can you tell, any one of you tell me why it is an imperative that we realize that we are an Indian? Let us assume you are going to London. You go to the immigration counter. What passport will he ask you? A Bengali passport? A Gujarati passport? A Marathi passport? A Tamilian passport? A UP passport? A Madhya Pradesh passport? Or will he ask you a passport which is from India? Will he ask you a Hindu passport, a Muslim passport, a Sikh passport? What will he ask you?
Indian, sir.
Indian. But unfortunately, do you realize? We identify ourselves as Hindu, as Muslim, as Christian, as Bengali, as Marwadi, as a Marathi, as a Malayali. Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Abhiyan does not talk about Atmanirbhar Bengal. It does not talk about Atmanirbhar Hindu. It is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. When the infrastructure of the country is developed, every person in the country will benefit. When the economic condition of the country develops, every person will benefit. When Swanidhi gives 10,000 rupees to cobblers, to barbers, to tailors, it will not look at whether he's a Bengali, a Christian, a Madrasi, or what. So you see, this Atmanirbhar Bharat feeling should come within us. It is a feeling, it's an emotion. More than a government policy, it should become our way of life. And you youngsters, are the one who is going to carry it, because as you grow, the future generations will evolve out of you, and everything in nature flows from top to bottom. We are leaving behind this world to you. Maybe we are not leaving a perfect world, but you, through Atmanirbhar Bharat, can definitely leave a perfect world to the generations to come. A huge responsibility rests on your shoulders. Don't get carried away by those people who say nonsense. Don't. A huge responsibility, rests on your slender shoulders, and you should rise up to the occasion. Derive pride in being an Indian and spread that message through Atmanirbhar Bharat. I hope that answers you.
Sir, can I give a small example with your humble permission, sir?
Arre, no humble permission. You are most welcome. Come on.
Yeah. Sir, the thing is, if we purchase 100 rupees of commodities from a street vendor, maybe vegetables or something, so he in turn uses those 100 rupees to purchase his daily commodities. It's a chain. It's a chain of growing GDP of our own country.
Yes.
Instead, if with that 100 rupees, if we purchase a foreign perfume, our GDP ends that loss.
My dear friend, you can't purchase that perfume for 100 rupees.
That's it. Simple example I am saying.
You are right.
Simple example. If you purchase some foreign commodity.
You are right. Absolutely right. And second thing I'll tell you, you see, here we need to understand another mentality of ours, which is very wrong. Let us say you go into what do you call it, a shop in a mall which sells perfumes. He will show you, a Shannon and charge you 3,000 rupees. You pay and come out, right? Do you bargain with him? We don't. But when we go to the same street vendor to buy 100 rupees, we start bargaining and make it 90 rupees. Tell me one thing, by saving that 10 rupees from that street vendor, did you benefit? You see, we need to get out of this mentality, We need to get out of this mentality. We need to encourage our business people at the lowest level. ठीक है, हो सकता है कि 2 रुपया एक्स्ट्रा ले लिया, चलो कोई बात नहीं. But then you see, the more money he gets, the more business he does, the more the country prospers, and ultimately it will come to you. You are all students of management. I'm sure you have heard about the glacier fallacy. Do one thing, go back today and check up the glacier fallacy. You will find it a very interesting topic. Go and check it out today. Yes. Anybody else? You're right, madam. You're absolutely right. When you buy from that vegetable vendor for 100 rupees, you are in fact contributing to your economy. And when you buy from foreign goods from some other person, you are contributing to the growth of their economy, not yours. Any other questions?
Ramarao, you can ask your questions. Your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for that enlightening speech, and I'm sure the youngsters have understood what you conveyed. Now, you spoke about our own decision making at the highest level, that is at the level of the PM and the External Affairs Minister. When we were required to take a side, we took a stand, whether this side, that side, or no side. And that same understanding, I think, must percolate down to the youngsters to smallest of thing, including which pen I should buy and why. Back to you, sir.
What's your question? Yeah, I fully agree with you that
Yeah.
not
Now,
just at the
okay,
highest level,
fine.
it should percolate to the lowest level also. But what's your question?
Correct. Now, how can that be done? Can it be done through the college? Can it be done through the society? Or can it be done by something else?
Yes, this question has come from Mr. Amrit Parida, right?
Ramarao.
Mr. Ramarao.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Ramarao. Let me ask a simple question in return. Cognitive science says that man has learned everything, that 80% of everything he has to learn by the time he is 5 years old. And for the rest of the life, whatever he has learned constitutes only 20% of his total repository of knowledge. Till the age of 5, when he was learning, where did that learning come from? He learned by observing the people around him. Now let us look at it from another angle. The Homo sapien species for over hundreds of thousands of years has slowly evolved. Slowly it has learned things, and today we are at this stage discussing all the learnings that have happened. What college or what school did the early man go to learn everything? He learned by looking at the nature. He learned from things which happened around him by trial and error method, and slowly as a genetic memory that has come down to us. In other words, all this is what is called implicit learning. Explicit learning is the method by which a teacher or a trainer stands at the head of a class, delivers information, talks and gives information, and at some indeterminate point of time, the teacher asks a question to the student, and the ability of the student to recall and reproduce it is used as a measure of his intelligence. A very, very weak way of learning. That is the reason why people forget most things that they have studied. We have got students here from, they're all management students. So obviously they must all be very intelligent. But I'm absolutely sure if I were to ask them a question from their 8th class, very few would be able to answer. Why? Because they have learned it the explicit way. But when you indulge in implicit learning, when you see things around you, draw inferences, question yourself, come to those answers and learn, the learning is much more stronger. Now, what has this got to how the message will percolate down? There is this saying in Sanskrit, Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja. If the teachers and the elders were to practice the principles of Atmanirbhar Bharat, the youngsters will imbue it automatically. That's why I said that on the slender shoulders of the student lie the owner's responsibility of taking this forward, because they are the future bearers of the generations. Today's 26-year-old young boy and girl is going to give birth tomorrow to a child. If they had imbued Atmanirbhar Bharat, they had imbued that patriotism, if they had imbued that respect for their product, it will automatically flow down. The child will see that the parents are for the Indian product, and it will grow up. I can tell you one thing, Mr. Ramarao. 2 generations down, if today's generation were to practice this Atmanirbhar Bharat, adopt it as a life principle, believe me, India की सोने की चिड़िया फिर से चहकेगी. ये आज के यंगस्टर्स के ऊपर है. क्या वो चाहते हैं कि ये सोने की चिड़िया फिर से चहके? I hope that answers your question, Mr. Ramarao.
Yeah, absolutely. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Amrit Prida, now you may ask your question.
Please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you for your insight, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask you that you talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat and how we should use Indian products extensively. But
Yes.
isn't it true that even if we support foreign industries and foreign products, then that eventually raises our chance of getting FDI, that is foreign direct investment, and also improve our economy as a whole, and also make our products eligible in foreign countries for sale?
I couldn't get your question. What has using foreign products got to do with getting foreign direct investment? Foreign direct investment is not being done by foreigners so that you can use their product. No. Foreign direct investment happens when they want to invest in this country so that it will be beneficial for their country. Because human labor is cheap, technology available is cheap, because the commitment of an Indian worker is much more. They are capable of working long hours. Per unit cost is very less. Foreigners are coming and putting up their plant here. It has got nothing to do with your using foreign products. No. I'm sorry, my dear friend, I am unable to accept that argument of yours. That does not mean we will never require foreign products. There are many competencies and capabilities which do not possess today. We will have to import it from them. And when we do not possess a particular capability and competency, obviously the products which are manufactured through that will have to be imported. And we will continue doing so. That is why I said at the highest of level, we have got a good team of foreign ministry officers, external affairs officers, and PMO officers and other, department, what do you call it, ministry officers who are capable of negotiating a profitable arrangement between India and the other countries. But let me tell you, don't go and buy a foreign product thinking that if you don't buy a foreign product, they will not come and invest here. That is not going to happen. They will invest because they benefit out of it. They will not invest because you are buying their product. No. I hope that answers you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next, Anil Goswami, sir, you may ask your question.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I am guest here, and Arunji is my mentor also. So I retired as a chief engineer. So Noida was also one of my area. So I want to share that, when the Japan after Hiroshima, its economy was totally crippled, and Japanese people, they refused to, buy foreign products. Even their stationery, small paper was very rough, and they were not buying. They were using their own paper, their own stationery, their own products, and slowly, again they came and built up their economy. And same mindset, if we can have it and try to motivate our own products, as Arunji told, even small vendors, we try to help them. So definitely we are going to come up rather than be attracted toward foreign goods. Presently may look very good quality, but we have to motivate our own people and help them to progress. Thank you.
See, we are talking to the young budding entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So you see, if they decide that I will make the best quality product, you see, there are lots of gaps in what we require. Focus on those. Focus on those products which India requires, which it does not have now. Develop the capability. Develop the competencies required to manufacture and make those products and go out into the market. It might be difficult, but then everything is difficult in the beginning. But success will be yours if you are persistent, if you are perseverant.
Sir, if we can excel in IT field, why not in other areas?
Every area we can.
Yes.
Every area we can.
Thank you.
Any other question? There is huge noise coming. Thank you, thank you. I think the fan. Yes, Gupta ji, you want to ask something? I think please mute. I think the sound is very, very loud. You can post your question in the chat box. The coordinator will ask the question, because if you unmute, there is a lot of noise coming.
So there is no further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you then.